Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Carlin Ankrum of OSnap Social. Carlin, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
No problem. Super excited to have you on as well. And before I jumped in, I wanted to read a little bit more about Carlin so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And Carlin is a Virginia-based social media strategist and content creation expert who helps small businesses secure visibility and dollars from ideal customers and clients. She's the creator of Fan Firestarter Framework, a framework dedicated to the social media success of small businesses, turning looky-loos into lifelong raving and paying fans. Leveraging 10 years of experience in the social media space and a degree in journalism, she uses the framework in setting up her small business clients for social media success, from restaurants to dental practices and lawyers and online boutique owners. You can find her services up to no-nonsense talking heaps of creativity at her website and tap dancing her way through her week teaching dance class in the evenings at her hometown studio. And she lives in Fairfax, Virginia with her hubby. Carlin, are you ready to speak to the I Am CEO community?
Let's do this.
Let's do it. So to kick everything off, I wanted to rewind the clock a little bit, hear a little bit more on what led you to get started. Could you tell us your CEO story?
Of course. So I started my business as a side hustle in 2015. I was transitioning away from my first job right out of college to a larger startup environment. And I actually made my first employer my very first client. So that was like a very interesting transition overall, because I was exposed to the internet on an everyday basis and seeing all the different people really kind of creating their own thing from virtually nothing and building that fan base and that audience. And I was so intrigued. So again, I built it on the side. OSnap Social I built on the side for 5 years before taking it full time for myself in July of 2018, just a few days before my 30th birthday. I don't know if you would call that like a midlife crisis, but it was one of those things where, I knew that I always wanted to run the show. Enough was enough. And quite frankly, I was exhausted and tired of building someone else's dream when I could be building my own and securing my own freedom and financial future and all of that good stuff. So I finally took the plunge and, leveraged my degree in journalism. That, shout out to JMU in Harrisonburg for giving me a huge diverse skill set that expands more than just the writing piece, right? So it's been a journey, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
Nice. I absolutely love that. You kind of taking your dream by the hand, so to speak, and taking control of that. And I think that it's so funny because I feel like, especially in the digital marketing space, that journalism piece is so huge, just because I think as people just try to figure out exactly how to get their, their business and their name out there and what it is that they do, it sometimes comes back to their story of exactly like how they got started, what it is that they do, and to be able to craft and tell that in kind of a way in which you can help to achieve whatever result in so many different ways is definitely one of the I think one of the best skills, but I'm a little biased because I was an English major.
Yeah, right. Like it's like that framework and having that foundation is so huge. And I mean, I even remember going back to my news writing class, and everyone was going around the room asking what people wanted to do with their degree. Mm-hmm. And I actually didn't have an answer. And turns out what I wanted to do actually wasn't invented until my senior year of college, where like Web 2.0 started becoming a thing. And I was like, what's this now about social media? People using it to like leverage their business or get the message out to, journalists in that time, in a 24-hour news cycle. Like, I want to learn more. And so, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so funny because you always read those things where it says, a lot of these top jobs weren't even created 5 years ago just because of technology, because of social media and all these things that blossomed and bloomed into what we have now. It's kind of crazy to think about that now, but of course, like so many the other things that we might see in the next 5 to 10 years as well.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I know I talked a little bit about your framework. Could you take us through that, and as well as that, exactly what you do to kind of help support the clients you work with?
Absolutely. So the Fan Firestarter Framework, try to say that 5 times fast.
I couldn't.
I just love alliteration as an English major. I think you understand, right? Like the
Yes.
obsession of just that consistency. Anyway, so really it starts with the pulse check, which is basically an audit of all your social media channels to kind of put a stake in the ground and say, you know what, like this is where we're starting from. So we have something to measure against at a later date. That's huge. Next, of course, is building that strategy that aligns with your business goals and objectives and how all those digital dots connect together. Because we definitely want your social media efforts to result in some ROI, but we need to be hyper specific of what that actually is. Then we build it up into the implementation process, which is where we create all the fun content, that creativity, get those juices flowing, and then trickle it down and push the content out, right? And then trickle it down to managing the community questions, messaging, having that engagement back and forth, creating that social conversation, right? In the name of keeping social, right? That you hear a lot of people out there talking right now about that. And then it goes into the analytics, which I think a lot of people, I think that's where the most of the educating that I do personally with my clients is that analytics piece, right? Understanding what works, what doesn't work, how to read the numbers, and then how to take those numbers and implement it back into a strategy. And then it kind of becomes this very cyclical process of just going through, because if you don't touch those points every single month or every single week, depending on the goals overall, then, you're just then posting for the sake of posting, and that's not really helpful for anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I definitely appreciate you for breaking that down. And I think you're absolutely right, where I think one of the benefits of these mediums, I should say digital marketing mediums, is that you get that analytics piece. And I think I even remember we were on a few panels together. And I think that I remember you mentioning that as well too, about how that is one of the really big leg ups you have, is because you have that data. But as you said, so eloquently, if you having that data is great, but being able to use and strategize with that data is an entirely different level. So you being able to kind of implement that with your clients is definitely something that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, making data-driven decisions. I mean, because I have found working with a client who, is a floral designer, an events designer, she's a big deal in her space. And she was like, oh, my Instagram is like where it's at. That's where people are going to buy from me in the relaunch of her course, right? I was like, okay, great. Running the ads, did the thing. But the data showed me the opposite. It showed me that Facebook is where her fans were buying from her more than Instagram. So we had to flip the strategy. So you can't just rely on a feeling. You really have to be strategic with all of your efforts and being okay with pivoting as the data determines like what decision you need to be making. Because again, you can't, like, the audience is the audience, the market is the market. Mm-hmm. And you have to, a lot of the times, swallow the pride and go with what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of trying to, force down what we think or what we want to believe. Exactly. I think that's exactly what the data is for us to analyze, look at, to make those, strategic decisions as well too. And I think that, not paying attention to that, we're just doing ourselves a disservice. And I appreciate you for obviously doing that and reminding us of how important that is as well. So
absolutely.
I wanted to ask you now for what I call your secret sauce, and it could be for yourself personally or your business, but what do you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique?
I think it does go back to the data, and, and I'm hearing this a lot more now from my industry, which makes me extremely happy, is it's not about the followers. People get so wrapped up in the vanity of like, can you get me 10,000 followers? To which I reply, sure. How much money do you have? And do you care if they're engaged or not? Because ultimately, this won't happen. At least I pray that it won't happen in the next 100 years. But if Facebook and Instagram or any of these social media platforms decide, you know what, we're done, and they shut the door and they're like, thanks everybody for playing, but we're out, the level of pandemonium that would probably happen would be insane. But also even more relevancy to make sure that, again, all those digital dots in your digital presence are connected. Because if you don't own your fans or followers on these social platforms, they're there to be a captive audience, yes, because billions of people literally are hanging out on these platforms. But if you don't have an email address in your CRM for that fan, then you don't really have 10,000 followers. It's just a different way to think about it, because I always use social media. I mean, that's my bread and butter. That's what I love, as the starting point. It's not the end all be all. You can't get wrapped up in the followers. Like, get that email, get that sale. Because if that follower isn't engaging, isn't raising their hand and taking that next step, then you need to earn that trust over time.
Yeah, Absolutely. No, I love that. And I feel like I heard from somebody that a liker or a follower never, paid anybody's bills and never, made actual sales. So it's as you talk about that conversion, like getting that trust factor, to a level where you can get their email address, but only even step beyond that, be able to have them take action in some type of engagement, whether that be buying, signing up for something, just doing something beyond that, because those social media platforms, as you said, on a very, hopefully we say extreme example where they can just shut their doors. It's a reality where that has happened. I think where a lot of times the organic reach or something has decreased to where you don't reach as many people as you had before. So you have to rely on that actual engagement and those people you're really connecting with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, like same thing from a paid perspective on a social platform. If you're like, I'm only using Facebook ads to market your thing, you might want to consider other ways to do it as well that are on the digital platform, whether it's Google, pay per click, or having like for you, creating an amazing optimized website so people can find your content organically just through searching for your solution. So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak. And I think having all those tools at your disposal for the ebbs and flows and the changes that happen in each of these different platforms is insanely important. So definitely appreciate that. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Okay, so I have two.
Okay.
So one is a tool for creating quick social media video. I'm of the opinion that perfection often leads to paralysis and you don't do anything. So creating content quickly that's effective and can give you all the tools. InShot is one of my favorite video apps for social media. Because you literally click a button and it changes the canvas size.
Nice.
Allows you to brand it with your colors. I don't have the paid version, but I can still add closed captions on my video pretty quickly. That's a great hack. I use it for all of my clients that have social media quick videos that they want to get out there into the world. Another thing that I've been better at lately, because I have more time now because I'm not rushing out to a meeting in person.
Right.
I'm just rushing downstairs to my home office, is my morning routine. It makes me a very happy person all day long. And that means just waking up, writing in my journal, the top 5 things I'm grateful for. Today, some goals as if they've already happened. So 10 goals, they've already happened. That's how I write them. I have made $1 million or whatever.
Nice.
And then reading 15 minutes because I have so many books and it's hard to get through them because I feel like I need a huge chunk of time, but just every day, 15 minutes, it kind of calms my brain before I even open my laptop.
Yeah, I absolutely love, obviously, especially in this day and age, how big, video is, especially on social media, to have the ability to create that. But I love kind of that nugget within that hack is just not letting the perfect get in the way of the possible and actually creating that content. Because I think so many times people are reshooting and reshooting. That video never ever goes live, or that moment has passed about what they're even doing the video about, is a huge thing. But I think too, I find that when I don't do those consistent actions in the beginning of the day, that my day will be off. And sometimes I'm trying to figure out why it is. And it's because I didn't do those foundational things in the beginning of the day. So I love the morning routine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and going back to the video quickly, it's not that to say professional video doesn't have its place, because that should be 100% on your website, on, bigger lifts like a promo reel, something that's where the really high quality stuff happens. But if you're just doing a quick promotion to tell someone about your offer that you have today or a workshop that you're running, press the button.
And just get it out into the world.
Get out of your own way. Just press record and go.
Exactly. No, I love that hack. And so now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO nugget. And this could be a word of wisdom or piece of advice. It might be something you would tell a client, or if you were to hop into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
There was a few. I think to echo what we kind of just talked about in regards to video is step out from behind the security of your logo. Though it's very important to have a solid brand, step out from behind your logo and show up consistently for your audience, because especially right now in the current, like, well, even this will be later, like just the way that our businesses are operating, it's so important to build that know, like, trust in a very personal way. And the best way to do that right now is through video. And maybe I'm alone in that, but you know, I like interacting with people in real life, and the next best thing right now is video. I think that's my biggest nugget, and I tell that to all of my clients, is like, step out from behind your logo, show up consistently for your audience, because you never know who's looking for a solution like yours. Yeah.
I love that. And, you know, I love the way that you said it as well, too, is step out from the security of your logo. Because I think so many times that we forget why we do what we do. And a lot of times it's to be of service to our clients and our customers. And even though, you know, things have adjusted and changed, we still have that opportunity to do that. And I think so many times we get caught up in our, oh, this isn't perfect, this isn't great, that we forget that we're actually doing this to serve. So why not serve to the best of our ability in the time that we have?
Completely. Like, that is exactly spot on. On. Yeah. Because I think it's really easy to be like, well, what are people going to think about me, or what? It's like, no. Like, you were there to help someone else. And if you can be in that mindset, then, like, whether or not you have a bad hair day or not, no one's going to know that but you.
Exactly.
Literally.
Exactly. So. No, I love it. So now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Carlin, what does being a CEO mean to you?
So being a CEO to me means having the courage to share your message, to step out from behind your logo, to share your skills and your passion with others around you, whether it be clients, team members, fellow colleagues, other industry pros, despite of that initial fear that might have stood in your way in the beginning of your entire journey. I actually have a quote on my desk right here. It's a hot pink sticky note that it reminds me every single day to, like, get out of my own way. And it says, I'm still going to do this despite how I feel until I'm proven otherwise.
That's extremely powerful. And I love that quote. I love the word courage as well, too, because I think so many times, especially, you know, when you're starting something, when you're creating something, you don't always have that definite, like, this is going to happen or that's going to happen. So it does take a lot of times, a lot of courage to be able to do that. But to step beyond your logo, as you said, you know, so well, too. And I think, again, when we kind of hold as a North Star exactly why we're doing what we're doing, to be of service and to help, then a lot of times that gives us that opportunity to step beyond that until, as you said, you know, we're stopped from doing that.
Yep, exactly. Yep. It's just time to go and take ownership. And I think my whole journey, even in the beginning, was like having the courage to quit my full-time cushy job, having the courage to be out and about, having the courage to show up on this podcast, like, you know, just like, and I think a lot of the times we don't even take the time to acknowledge the small baby wins that we have along the way. Like, we're just like on to the next thing. And I think, if anything, you know, having to adjust, you know, in this world is really powerful. But I think it's helped me slow down a little bit to realize, like, you know what, I'm crushing it. I'm doing the best that I can. I'm learning new things. I'm being courageous, and despite the fear.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I've taken much, you know, from this time is giving yourself grace. And I think so many times, especially if you're a high achiever, you want to accomplish, you have those goals that you want to crush in the set, that sometimes we do forget the steps by which we have taken to get there, the things we were scared of that we were able to conquer and do in order to get to that step. And as you know, and a lot of times we celebrate the goal that we get to, but I think there's a really big gift in the journey. And when we are present to that, then that provides, you know, a tremendous amount of opportunity throughout every step that we take.
I could not agree more.
Awesome. Well, Carlin, truly appreciate that perspective. Appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know, and of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out all the awesome things you're working on.
Excellent. You can hang out with me over at osnapsocial.com. I'm also on Instagram. icons are over there. If you want behind the scenes, Instagram is the best place. OSnap Social Carlyn, Karlyn. And I have a free Facebook group if you want some free nuggets about social media and the new things that are coming out seemingly every single day. You can find that at the OSnap Social Club on Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Carlyn. We will have the links and information in the show notes. And I think definitely one of the best things we can always do is to make sure that we know really people that know their craft and to become experts. So I appreciate you for creating so many different ways we can connect with you and to get more information. So again, we'll have that information in the show notes, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.